and welcome everybody to this month's Connect with BMC Helix ITSM and Remedy webinar. During the webinar, you can ask questions to our panelists in the Q&A pod. All questions and answers will be posted along with this recording within a week of today's live presentation. And our topic today is Digital Workplace New Progressive Web App UI. And Sirjad will take us through this content now. Sirjad?
Thank you, Greg. Good morning, everyone. So today we're going to talk about the Digital Workplace New UI, which is a progressive web app. We have a packed agenda for the next 1 hour or so. So we're going to talk about, here's the agenda, we're going to talk about the challenges with the existing UI, which basically gives you an idea why we did the progressive web app, why we did a revamp of our UI. Then the benefits that the PWA can offer us, and solving some of the challenges, new features and capabilities that are available in Digital Workplace mobile app, and followed by a short demo of some of the changes that are in the new UI. Then I'll also mention some of the references that I've used for this presentation. We'll summarize it and then take up some live questions, if any. All right, so let's jump into the topic here. So what were the challenges with our existing UI? If you have used Digital Workplace or if you are already using it, you know that we have used a mobile-first approach in our development, which worked great. The UI, people liked it, customers loved it, users' adoption got increased. But at the same time, we have had challenges when it comes to the mobile app deployment, especially if customers do not have a process, a mobile distribution process in their enterprise. The other challenge we have was, because we have multiple deployment models, such as the on-prem, cloud, and hybrid, one application, we couldn't build an app which is, a one version agnostic app which can cater to all different deployments and all different versions that we support. Basically, the compatibility, we have had issues with the backward and forward compatibility when it comes to the native application. So again, when it comes to distribution of the application, especially for, I'll talk about first with the iOS app. iOS app, we have to re-sign the app according to Apple process and based on their requirement. So in order to re-sign the application, you will have to sign up for Apple Enterprise Development Program, which is a program every customer will have to sign up if they wanted to distribute an iOS native application. And then you sign the app, make it your own, and then you follow a distribution process, what you have. Either it is an MDM or the Enterprise Mobility Management, it is also called, or you use a URL-based distribution, or if you have an internal enterprise app store, then you use that for your distribution. So those were the different distribution mechanisms we were using when it comes to the native app. And the other challenge was you have to follow, or you have to repeat this process for every update. The reason you have to repeat this process for every update is that because re-signing the app, rebranding the app, all of that is stored within the native app itself. So every time there is an update to the application, be it a defect fix or an upgrade of the application, or maybe there is something changed, because iOS and Android platform upgrade. Because of that, we also have to make some changes to our app to work with the latest version of the iOS and Android platform. So any update to the application, and if you want to adopt the new update, basically you have to go through and repeat this process that I mentioned re-signing. If you're rebranding, then you also have to rebrand the app again, and then follow the distribution process, what you follow in your enterprise. The next challenge is the EMM integration. When it comes to MDM or EMM integration, some companies follow certain standards where they wanted to make the app more secure, enable micro VPN capability for the app, add an extra layer of security, encrypt the cache, etc., etc. So a lot of these things are provided by the MDM, but the way they provide it is they either provide you an SDK or a wrapper to which you have to integrate with the application, and most of the times it doesn't work well with any native app. So you have challenges there when it comes to MDM integration with the application. And the last challenge is that you always have to have this extra coordination between the people managing the application and distributing the application. Most of the time these are separate teams, so you will have to work with them, and we have had so many instances where the team managing the application do not have enough knowledge in the area of distribution. So all the questions that the EMM team asks them, mostly it is posted back to BMC support team, and then we have to chime in and help out. So that was another challenge. So all these challenges we have had with the existing mobile app when it comes to deployment. Now, when it comes to branding of the application, in the old application or in the old UI, as you may know, if you're using the application already, we have to maintain the branding separately for each client. There is a separate way of branding for your web client or the universal client, we call it as, which uses a CSS-based branding. And when it comes to mobile, it is done as a separate branding using a branding tool. When it comes to Android, there is another branding tool that you could use and brand the application. So that in itself was a challenge, because you are now maintaining three different set of branding for three different set of clients if you're using all of them. The second is similar to the first, similar to the challenge that I talked about in the deployment, is you have to repeat this process for every update. You have to repeat the branding process for every update of the application. And at the end, there is no consistency or uniformity across the branding. So these were some of the key challenges when it comes to branding. The next set of challenges that we encountered is the application level challenges. What are the challenges we had with the application, especially when it comes to mobile? We used to cache the data for subsequent for better performance when you access the request for the subsequent, the next time, etc. So a lot of things we were caching, such as your service request, your approval, all that info when you log into the application for the first time. And depending upon the content that you have in your application, in your system, it takes a long time to download and cache these data into the mobile app. So this was one challenge. And the other one is when it comes to backward and forward compatibility of the application. You deploy a specific version of the app, and then you either update or upgrade your backend, or you update the application to the latest version, then the compatibility is broken. So in such case, you always have to make sure that you update both your client and server at the same time. And what that also means is after the update, you either have to automatically push these updates to end users' devices, or if you do not use an automated distribution mechanism such as MDM, then you have to somehow notify your users to download the new application and use it for compatibility issue. The third challenge is when it comes to UI, there's a lot of inconsistencies, right? When the way you access it from the mobile is a little different than from the web. The way you access, there are some inconsistencies even within iOS and Android application. So That's another challenge. Then another challenge is mobile browser support. There are customers who wants to use the app on mobile for a very limited use case, such as, I get a request, somebody submits a request to IT or help desk asking for something, and then the help desk agent says that, hey, he sent an email saying that, hey, here is the request, just click this request and then submit it, right? I mean, enter all the information relevant for your request and then submit it. What happens is if the end user is on a mobile and he or she gets an email, it has the link, they click the link, what they really expect is, because they are not really using the complete features and functionality of the application, their use case is just to open that request, the questionnaire form, and then submit the app. Not possible because we always expected you to have a native app on your mobile device. So when you click that, it'll take you to a page which says, hey, download the application if you do not have it, right? So that was another challenge. Even for such limited use case, we cannot use the mobile browser. So basically, there were no mobile browser-based support in the old app. Integration with other applications. When it comes to integration, especially in enterprise, where if they want to use a single sign-on type app, such as say Okta Connect, for example, and if they wanted to use every app that the enterprise uses under that Okta Connect, so that all you install is the Okta Connect, and then from there you can launch any application that is integrated with Okta Connect, which is not possible when we were using mobile app, but now it is with the PWA. Extensibility, which is another challenge when it comes to the application level challenge. So what if I wanted to take a control from DWP and embed it into another application? That was not possible in the old UI and the old UI framework. So such extensibility is something we are looking to introduce in the product. So these were some of the key application level challenges we had with the old application. So we talked about the mobile challenge, the branding challenge, and the application level challenges. Let's jump into the next, which is, so how are we solving all these challenges? So we looked at various options and decided to go with a progressive web app because it gives us, a lot of benefits. Some of them I try to list it here. Is the consistent UX experience. So you be it on a browser, on a desktop, laptop, on an iPhone, iPad, or Android tablet, Android phone, you get a consistent UI experience, right? That was the biggest benefit. And then the second is when it comes to branding, you are only branding it once. So we have a new branding tool where you go and brand the application, and then you apply it. It gets published onto the server. And that's it, right? Every client uses that branding when you log into the application. So, and you just have to do that once. You don't have to look at it. You don't have to go back and look at it every time you do upgrade or anything, right? Unless you wanted to change it because maybe the company logo has changed or the company branding color has changed. But otherwise, you do it once and pretty much forget about it, right? It is retained, be it an upgrade, update, or whatever it may be. When it comes to the mobile distribution, because it's a browser-based app, the distribution is so easy. Even if you do not have a standard distribution mechanism such as MDM or EMM, you can just ask users to use the same URL and then access the app from anywhere, right, from any device. So there is no additional effort or coordination that is needed to distribute the application. When it comes to EMM integration, it is still possible. A lot of people asked us that, hey, how do I integrate a PWA or a browser-based app using EMM? It is still possible. Every EMM pretty much supports has this capability. So you can distribute a URL using EMM, they can actually push to any managed device. So that is also possible. It is version agnostic. We have a native app which is used as an alternate mobile distribution for iOS. We'll cover more details about this, why we did this in the upcoming slides. So when it comes to using the app on mobile, it is a version agnostic app. And we also have, like I said, the lightweight native app that we have for iOS. That is also version agnostic. So if you happen to use that app for iOS, you just download it once and that's it, right? I mean, it is version agnostic, respective of what the backend is. You can upgrade the backend anytime. You can stay on the same backend. The app is going to continue to work with it. The last point is the responsive design. So because we use a responsive design, we were able to give consistent UI experience. We'll deep dive into this particular point as well. All right, moving to the next slide. When it comes to the responsive design, this is where I wanted to spend a little longer time. So it gives us these abilities, such as you can share a unified experience across different phones, different tablets, various form factors, right? So that is the biggest advantage of using a responsive design. It is modular, so this design allows us to build components in different modules and reuse these components at a widget level. So we'll come to this in demo as well. We have a new feature in the app called a page builder, which is just the beginning of these extensibility of the modules within Digital Workplace. So we were able to do this because of the responsive design and the modular design that we followed. It also helped us to improve our overall accessibility experience and the 508 compliance part. We have done our recent VPAT for the application, and the app is 508 compliant. So we have that improved accessibility support compared to the previous app or previous UI. The app is more reliable, much more reliable, faster, and more engaging. You don't have any problems of logging and caching the data, which is taking time, initial sync, subsequent sync type issues. So it is fast when it comes to accessing the application. And the overall experience that you get when you access the app, especially from a mobile or a tablet, is either on par with your native app, or in some cases even better experience, right? So that's why we call it as it is more engaging design. The next on again this topic, responsive design. When it comes to responsive design, all the layouts are dynamic. It gets auto-adjusted based on the form factor. So you can see some examples here. We'll also do a live demo of this, how the same app is being accessed from different devices and the experience, right? We'll show you that. Because it is a dynamic layout, we are also able to use maximum real estate space within, depending upon the device. So you can see in this example that when it comes to the web app, we are able to use maximum space here, and when it comes to mobile phone, you can see that it gets adjusted, and most of the real estate space is used here. The next topic is simplified distribution. So when it comes to the mobile app distribution, wanted to double click on that point and then dive into the details. So let's look at with the various options that we have for Android, iOS. So when it comes to Android, PWA in general, the technology is way ahead in Android platform than in iOS. So all the capabilities that we wanted to use for our application, it was available in the Android platform. So we were able to make use of everything that is available to us and completely get rid of the native app for Android. So any feature and functionality that we have had in the Android native app, we were able to port that into the progressive web app. So some of the key functionalities specific to mobile are push notification that you get on your mobile device. Yes, that is possible using a PWA. QR code scanning if you're using the location functionality, and if you're using the scanning capability, then that is available on your mobile on the PWA on Android, right? There is no need to install an application footprint on the device, so that is no longer applicable. You don't really have to take the app and publish to an app store or Play Store. That is also not applicable because it is a progressive web app that you are accessing from the browser. App icon and rebranding of the application name. Yes, it is possible. The way you get your app icon on the devices, you can create a shortcut, especially when the app is pushed through an EMM tool, then they can actually build a shortcut and then push it to the end user device so that the shortcut will have, it is similar to the app icon that you see for native app with the logo, whatever you used for your application, and the name of the app that you use during branding. Support preset of host name. This is, again, on the native app, you have to first set the, enter your host and port, and then it takes you to the login page, right? Whereas here you are accessing the URL directly, so it takes you directly to the application login page. So you no longer have to remember those host name or port or anything. So that's also taken care of. When it comes to distribution of the app, yes, if you are using an MDM tool, you can distribute a PWA using MDM. There are options available within MDM to, all you have to do is you give them the URL saying that, hey, here is the application URL. This is what I wanted to push to users' devices. App Store distribution, again, it's not applicable because this is not a native app. So that's about Android. Now, I'm switching to iOS. When it comes to iOS, overall, I think that Apple is a bit behind on PWA technology than Android. They are catching up, so soon they will be also on par or better than Android. So because of that, there are two key capabilities that the iOS PWA is missing, and those are the push notification and the QR code scanning. So if you do not have that requirement of using a push notification or QR code scanning, then you can use the PWA, which pretty much has every other functionality on iOS. But if you are interested in those two functionality, then what we did is we have an alternate approach, which is a lightweight version of a native app, which is version agnostic, that we publish to the App Store. You can use that app, and then that basically gives you every features that is present in the DWP iOS application. It supports the push notification, it supports QR code scanning, and everything else that I talked about for Android. So that is the alternate approach that we followed. But we do hope that iOS will soon catch up with those two, and then we'll be able to make those two capability available in the PWA without going through a native app experience. So that's about this topic, mobile app distribution and the details of it. Now the next topic is the features. So this is another major benefit. Because we were using native app in the past, there were a lot of advanced type functionality which were not available on mobile. Now with the PWA, we were able to make all those functionalities available on mobile as well. Some examples here are the approval, delegate, and reassign functionality that we introduced in the recent release. bulk ordering capability that was not there on mobile. It was only available when we introduced it. It was only available on web UI. So that is now available on mobile as well. Review multiple item order requests as a group. This was also another functionality which was not available on mobile. Dependency services, if you want to relate a service dependent on another and then request that capability was only available on web, the web client, old web client, now that it is available on PWA and on mobile as well. Collaborator functionality, which was not available on the old UI on mobile, now it is available here. My Stuff impersonation is another big one. Notification bulk dismissal. Another one where if you have a lot of notification in your bell notification area, and if you want to dismiss them, you have to, in the past, you have to go to the web UI and then dismiss it. But now that same capability is available on mobile as well. All right, so let's switch to a quick demo of the application here and then see the changes. All right, so this is the new UI out of the box. I have not done any customization or branding here. So the key changes that we have in the UI, when it comes to catalog, the UI is pretty much the same like old UI. We have not done much changes here, but one key change which you will notice here is the way the questionnaires are rendered. Be it an SRM request or a catalog request, the questionnaire form is rendered in the same way. So there you get a consistent experience. Again, from an end user perspective, they do not know what an SRM request or a DWP catalog request. So the questionnaire form is now the same, at least from a UI perspective, for both. So irrespective of where the request is coming from, which source it is, you get a consistent experience there. That's one change you will notice here. Now, when it comes to activity, we have done a lot of work here. We have moved away from the timeline concept, the old timeline concept, to something called an active event and a past event. So active event is anything that is open, be it your request, be it your appointment, your approval, reservation, etc. Right? So anything that is open, you will see under active events. And this is the active event card view. We also have a list view here, which will list all the active events. And then you can dive into the details of each of that event, right? Which is basically your request details. And when it comes to the request details, you also have a process view type bar here, which basically gives you a high-level update of what the status of your request is, a graphical representation of it, rather than just saying it is in progress or submitted. For all the past event, we have anything that is completed, closed, canceled, which is all past. We call it as past events, and those are here in the past event section of the UI. And this is only a tabular format. We don't have a card view for the past event. You also have the ability to filter past event based on different category, if it is approval, approved, rejected, anything else, completed, closed, canceled, failed, etc. So that's another, so this is a major change when it comes to how you access the request, open request or closed request. So the timeline concept is gone. Now we are into this new event view, which is an active event or a card view and a tabular view of it. Now let's get to the branding aspect of the application. This is the branding tool which you can access from the admin console. It's a pretty simple branding tool. We'll get into all the details. So you can name the application from here. You can call something like My Help Desk, any name, right? And you can see a preview as well, live preview, as well as in when you make a change. You can adjust or change the navigation style or color. Here you can add a logo. I just added one of our partners' logo here. You can basically add it from here by drag and drop. So that's what you do. You can also make adjustments to your logo. And similarly, for the application icon, if you want to use an icon for the mobile home screen, you can use that as well. You can upload a app icon for the mobile. If you want to have a fav icon, you can do that as well. So all that is possible here. Then when it comes to color, what we do is we ask you to input the primary color, secondary color, and the active state color. And then once we get that color information, it gets applied across the application. So you no longer have to pick a specific area and say, let me change the color for the specific area or section. It is applied consistently across the application and across different devices or different clients. So I'm just going to use pick some random color here. For the active state, I'm selecting some, again, random color. This section of the login page branding, most of the time you may be using the SSO-based login, which means you are integrating with your own IDP. In such cases, the login page comes from the IDP, so you don't really have to do anything in this area. This area is only applicable if you are using the digital workplace local login or the authentication, which is again integrated with Remedy. But no, if you're using that type of authentication without any SSO, then you have the ability to brand your login page. But in majority of the cases, this is not being used because majority of the customers uses the SSO-based login. That is pretty much it here, and then you apply this branding. It's going to take some time to apply this branding and then publish it to the server. Then once it is published, then you will be able to see that branding in action in the UI. So while it is doing that, I'm also going to bring up the mobile interface here of the application. I think the branding is in progress, which is why you are seeing some changes here for the branding. It is published. I'm just going to refresh the app here. You can see that the fav icon has changed, the application logo has changed, the name, the coloring scheme, everything that I used. Now you can see that the primary color, secondary, and the active color in action here. When I go inside a request, you can see all the colors that I used. It is consistently applied across the application. When I switch here and then select a request, you can see that the coloring is, consistently applied across the app everywhere, right? So that is the power of this branding tool. I will show you how it looks like on the mobile device. So the same dynamic layout, all I'm doing is accessing the same application on mobile. And then here you can see that the catalog UI, navigating it through, accessing a request. You can see that request now, the questionnaire form. So this is the iPhone. This is how it will look like on iPhone, right? This is not the actual device. I'm using a plugin here. Now, when it comes to a tablet view, I'll just switch to an iPad view here. You can see that the branding is consistently applied here, and then the layout, everything changes based on the form factor. So I'm just going to access the catalog as an example here. One of them, say a request now. You can see that it is changing based on your device that you selected. Now, when it comes to the active events, the activity page, you can see that even this has changed. I can navigate through it. I can switch back to a list view. I can see all of them here. Yes. So then switch back. If I want to go back to the past events, I can see it here, the list view again. I can filter it. All that options are available. So pretty much everything that you can do on your web app, you can now do it on your mobile as well, and you get that consistent experience across the board. So that's about the branding. Now, I'm sure there will be a lot of questions about the kind of flexibility that CSS used to offer to customers, even though it was not a tool like this, but you could hand code and then do a lot of CSS-based customization for the web app, not for the native app. So what happens to that, right? So we wanted to make a lot of these configuration, whatever is possible in the product as an out-of-the-box configuration rather than customization and put the burden on customers as customization that you maintain it. Instead, we wanted to productize it. So we took our best attempt to, based on various feedbacks that we got from customers, to productize some of the CSS capabilities that we had in the old UI. So and that's all available under the feature request section or the feature configuration section in the admin console. So for example, if I wanted to disable catalog rating and review, this was something we used to do in the old UI using CSS. You have to find the CSS class, then you have to set the visibility or display to disable. So similarly, if I don't want to use the in-app notification or the bell icon, right, I can disable that. If I don't want to use the social functionality, I can disable it. There is a priority label for every request that you will see. In some cases, customers do not want that. It was using CSS, they used to disable it. We have that capability here. If you don't want to use reopen, it was again, there were no configurability in the product in the old UI. So we have that ability here. If you don't want request now, some customers say, I don't want to use shopping cart, right? I wanted to use the new catalog, but I don't want to introduce a shopping cart type experience. Some say, I just wanted to launch the app from an SSO URL, like from an internal portal to the digital workplace, and then close the application. I don't want to introduce a sign out for it. So you have the configuration available. If you are not using social activities, you have the configuration available. If you don't like the, when it comes to the knowledge article search and when you navigate through knowledge article, if you don't like similar articles, we have the configuration available for that. So all these things we actually introduced based on the feedback from customers. When it comes to the notification settings, we now have introduced a deeper level notification setting for each notification, basically based on the status-based notification. So there are a lot of options if you don't want to enable, disable contact IT, another one, right? When it comes to approval, if you don't want to, if you're not interested in certain type of approvals, you have the ability to configure and disable, enable it. So this section, we have added a lot of configuration options, but we know that that is not enough. And this is where we are, continuously capturing customers' feedback and trying our best to incorporate those as out-of-the-box configuration in the product. So, as you can see here, I've disabled a lot of functionality. So let's see how it looks like now. At least the one which was visible before was the rating and review for the request. Now that you can see it is gone. So you can see here that the rating and review is gone. And on the nav bar, you can see the bell icon is also gone. That's something I disabled it. The sign out is something I disabled it. So all of that you are now able to do it from the configuration section of the admin console, the feature configuration section. So that's what we tried. But again, like I said, that's not complete. But this is all based on various customer engagements and what the customers were using as CSS-based customization, how we can help to replace them with an out-of-the-box configuration. There are a few more that we got recently, which we are also trying to incorporate in the product. Now the next part is the modular design. So we have something called a page builder. This is just the beginning of the page builder and the customizability of it, using which we have actually made some of the controls in the digital workplace available in the page builder so that you can just drag and drop these controls and then create your own page. Let's see how it looks like. So I'm just dragging and dropping a catalog section here. I wanted to put a banner here. I'm designing my own page, right? Then I'm putting the search underneath, wanted to put events underneath that, and this is my own page. So I'm just going to call this as my home page. Right. And then I come here, I select one of the catalog item, maybe a most common IT request. For the banner, I come here, I select a main banner maybe. The search is the same as search. For the events, I just wanted to show only the active events here and nothing else. So I just created a page, named my page as my home page, dragged and dropped few controls based on how I want. I can even add more here. So this is done. I say save and publish. So the page is now updated. Actually, you can see a preview from here for the same page, how it will look like. So this is how it will look like on your web app. And when you switch to mobile, this is how it is going to look like on your mobile, right? So you can do a preview as well from here. Now I go back. If I wanted to add more, I can do that as well. I can add additional catalog section somewhere here. Maybe I can just drag and drop that control. So that is also possible. So in the interest of time, I'm not adding any more here. I'm just showing a sample. So just publish this. Once you publish it, you close it, confirm, and then you go back here, you enable the custom page option. You can also make that custom page as your landing page. Just refresh the browser. So you can see your custom page here with the name that you provided and the way you designed it. Right, so this is just the beginning of the page builder. We are looking to introduce a multi-page builder where, currently it supports only creation of one page with these 4 controls, but we are looking to introduce the ability to create multiple pages, right? Say, for example, you have different departments, say HR, IT, finance, and each of them wants to have their own separate page. That's something we are looking to introduce. Then we are also looking to introduce some of these controls, additional controls into the page builder, and eventually even you can take that controls and embed it into another application and use it, right? So those are some of the things that we are looking to introduce in the future version. So that is about the demo. I'm switching back to the PowerPoint. All right, so the next topic is some of the references that I have used for this presentation. We have some community blogs available, documentation, and there was a demo available in YouTube for the rebranding. So to summarize today's session, we talked about the challenges of existing UI, the mobile challenges, branding challenges, application level challenges, the benefits, some of the benefits that you get from PWA and the reason why we use PWA. Then we also talked about the additional features that you get in the PWA, especially on the mobile app. Then we did a demo and references used. So that pretty much summarizes today's topic. I think we'll move on to the Q&A. Thank you, everyone, for listening in.
Awesome. Thank you, Sirjad. And at this point, we'll take live questions. If there are any live questions that you have for Sirjad, you can. Vicki, can you provide instructions for our callers to identify themselves?
Of course. If you would like to ask a question over the phone lines, please press the star key followed by the digit 1. Again, it is star 1 to ask a question, and also make sure your mute button is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. And we'll pause for a moment.
Thank you.
And no one has queued up, but once again, it is star 1, and we will pause again for a moment. And Greg, no one is queued up at this time.
Okay. All of the questions in chat look to be answered. So again, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Sirjad, again, you can star 1 to identify yourself.
And we do have a question.
And are there any questions, Vicki, at this time?
Yes, we do have a question in the queue.
Okay.
Caller, you will hear a voice prompt on your phone line, and that will indicate that your line has been opened. And if you would please state your name before posing your question. Please go ahead.
Hey, this is Ravi. So I have a question related to the AIF. I think Dhruv just answered that one. AIF is not supported on mobile. And also there are some concerns around like tooltips issues on the DWP app for AIF. Is that supported?
So AIF on mobile, Ravi, it is not supported, but what we are looking is to introduce additional advanced type questions in the Digital Workplace Advanced interface, which you can use to replace AIF so that you no longer have to again build custom interface forms. and then use that. So that's something in progress, something we are working towards. So you will see more and more advanced type controls coming in each release.
Okay. So one question related to page builder, Sirjad. You mentioned that we can only build one page in the current version. So one page for which is supported on all the device types, like web version, tablet, and mobile, right? Okay. And are there any?
Today you can.
Yeah, good.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, good. I have a follow-up question after that.
Yeah. So today, I mean, we support only one page, but that page, once you build and publish it, it will be available for all the devices.
Okay. And so for that particular page builder, can we place access restrictions? Like, can we allow access only to a particular group?
Not today, but that's something again we are looking to introduce. So the content of the page today, it is based on the entitlements, right? Let's say you add a catalog section, and that catalog section happen to have only entitled to certain section of groups or users. Then yes, but there is no access restriction for that entire page today. That's something we'll have to add it in a future version.
Got it. Or is there an option to access that particular page directly through the direct link?
You can make that page as a home page. So obviously you're going to get a direct link. Once you make that as a home page, it'll be something like the URL / whatever that page name, right? Then you can
All right. So one last question related to the delegate approval. So you were talking about you're providing the capability to delegate approvals on the MyID itself, right, as an out-of-the-box capability. So do you know which version that is being confirmed for? Or
I think this was introduced in 1902 or 1905. It's been there for at least the last 3 to 6 months, yes.
All right. Okay. So is there any option to enable that one on the current version?
It's already. I mean, it should be available. It should be available if you go into the section of where. If you go into the preferences, you will actually see an option, and even in the admin UI, there is an option introduced to enable disable delegate approval, because that was something some customers even asked for an ability to configure it. It was when we introduced it, it was available by default, but then some customers wanted to have this as a configuration, so we even introduced that configuration option as well.
Oh, okay. I see that. Yeah, thanks for the info. All right. Yeah, that's all I have on my side.
Thanks, Ravi. So I think there was a question in the chat about custom remedy application and how do you integrate or launch it from Digital Workplace. When it comes to custom apps, it is again something similar to the AI apps. If you want to just launch that out from Digital Workplace, you can do that as a quick link or a how-to link. Basically, you will have you can create a tile for that in Digital Workplace with some description, nice description and everything. And then when you click that, it will launch out to that application in a separate tab. So that's something possible. If you wanted to have similar experience as Digital Workplace, we have an integration with the Helix platform or the Innovation Suite. So if you build any new app in Helix platform or Innovation Suite, you can actually integrate that and then launch it within Digital Workplace as a tab, something similar to the page builder that I showed. So that is possible. The idea there is you again get a consistent UI experience, right? Assuming the app that you're building in Innovation Suite has a similar look and feel as Digital Workplace. Hope that answers that question.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to close out this month's Connect with Remedy webinar to review our self-help and contacting BMC. This presentation will be posted on our YouTube channel, along with other webinars and how-to videos are available there. The Connect with Remedy schedule is available in communities. All of our past webinars are also posted there and future. And within the product support pages, it offers a blended search of our knowledge base, our communities, and product documentation that allows you to get information and any available videos from one search location. And you can contact technical support via web, phone, and email, as well as these social channels. This will conclude this month's webinar. And again, the content will be posted within a week of today's live showing. Wanted to thank everybody for joining us, our panelists, and our presenter, Sirjad. Thank you.